Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're going to call the meeting to order here. I have 5:31 p.m. Okay, great. Prior to doing a roll call, we'll just do a quick one administrative update. We have two commissioners who have unfortunately resigned from the commission, Dan O'Halloran and Keith Meldal. We thank them very much for their service this year. And appreciate all the hard work they did for the commission in this last year and years past. And I'd also, before we do a roll call, just like to remind anybody who's here today or watching from home that people can apply to be on this commission. And the deadline to apply is Thursday, January 25th at 5 p.m. All the information is available on the city's website. And I encourage many people to try to apply, and I think it's been a wonderful commission. You can do a lot of good for our city. So I appreciate your time there for just a minute administrative. Do you want to do a roll call then? Thanks.
Okay, for the roll call, let the record show all 5 commissioners are present.
Great, thank you. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Yeah. Thank you. Any special presentations or proclamations today? There are none. Okay. Do we have any oral communications?
We have one speaker, Ellen Burr.
Great.
You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Am I on? Oh, yes, I am. Good evening, Commission. I'm here tonight because I am very concerned that the City Council determined that the site L7, which is noted in documents online for the Park District as a future site for park development, in their wisdom to try and find something to do to alleviate the housing problem for affordable housing, they issued a notice of availability, which basically says the city doesn't need it, and then sent it out to, they were required to send it out to agencies that would be interested in keeping it as an open space or park. But they only sent those to the county, the state, and actually to our own Parks Department. And apparently our own Parks Department has determined that they're not interested in having it be a park. None of this, as far as I know, had come to you before, or to the Environmental Committee, or to anyone else before. But I will say, and this is why I brought this little thing out to you, sorry, I didn't give you a colored one, is that open space, when this plan was made, was accepted by the city in 2016 to be good for 10 years at least. The number one thing that came out was the public wants more open space to preserve what we have and to somehow maybe obtain more. As far as I know, this L7 site is the last undeveloped site that the city owns. I mean, there's the community center, there's this place, there's the construction yard, there's the libraries, but I believe that is the only site that would be more than an acre or so that the city has. The number one facilities and recommendation that came out of this plan was to preserve and acquire open space, beaches and natural areas, and I'm running out of time. So you can't, as a group, make any kind of statement on this tonight because it's not on the agenda. But that doesn't mean you can't discuss it amongst yourselves when it comes to that portion of the agenda. And there's nothing that prevents you from appearing as very concerned, invested individuals at the next council meeting to let them know what you think about giving up this site that is one of the last few in the city. And call me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the posted agenda.
Let's try to see. Okay, so we're going to now do, sorry, I missed a meeting or two. Do I need a motion to approve the minutes from October 17th? Is that correct? Yep. Okay, thanks. I hope people have had a chance. Due to previous meetings, we did not have all the attendance of the commissions, so we did not approve some minutes from some previous meetings. Do we have a motion at this time to approve the regular meeting minutes from October 17th? Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, the motion passes.
Need a man of practice. Do you ask for the motions or do I ask for the motions? I can do it. Okay, got it. Thank you. Similarly, we're looking for a motion if anybody would like to make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from November 21st.
I would like to make that motion.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
And the November minutes are approved.
Okay, great. So I think we're going to move to the work plan items now, and we're kind of at the stage of the calendar year and our work plan year where we can start to finalize our work plan outcomes. We do not have to kind of approve all these outcomes today. There could still be work done between this meeting and next month's meeting that might modify some of these work plan outcomes, excuse me. But I think it's good if we start to go through the work plan outcomes at this time. Nate, are you able to put the work plan up there for me? I'm sorry. Thanks, Manager Norgard.
I'll
Okay.
just add that this is a copy of the work plan that was updated for the last commission meeting that shows essentially the goals and the updates as they've been happening. And in addition to that, we have another document that I'll show in a moment that has a compilation of proposed outcome language from each of the ad hocs that's kind of all put into one. That will make it easier to kind of review it all in one place. So everyone should have access to this document, and we can refer back to it if we need to for any of the updates that we've had along the way if there's any questions. And in addition to that, this is the document that I mentioned that is a compilation of all of the proposed outcomes. So where you see the number 1 here, just a reminder that it correlates to the number one on our stated goal. So if we need to go back and forth, please let me know. If not, I think it'd be pretty easy for us to just focus on the outcomes and get input from each of the commissioners and the ad hocs.
Great, thank you very much, Manager Norgard. And I think, yeah, the only thing I would add to that summary, which I appreciate again, is I think most of the stated goals have been completed. There may be one or two perhaps updates still on the work plan. If that's the case, we can take those as we go along as well. Everyone, all the commissioners and the public should have a copy of this. So I don't know if it's necessary if I read the outcome to everybody, but if we could just take a minute to look at work plan outcome for item number 1 and see if there's any additional comments or suggestions on that. I don't think there's any additional work that's been done on that stated goal at this time. Do any of the commissioners have any suggestions or proposed changes to that work plan outcome for number 1? You're good? Okay. Great. I think that one, staff were okay adopting if you are. Okay. Maybe we could just take a moment to review number 2. I don't know if we're going to switch back and forth. I can read the work plan item.
We all have printed copies of this, so
Yes.
I prefer sticking on this so I can respond to each one.
Okay, would that be okay, David, to go back?
Just tell me what you want on the screen. I'll help you
Okay,
out.
I think perhaps because we have, if it's okay, because we have printouts of the work plan items, maybe we'll leave the work plan on the screen and then we'll comment that way if it's okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Or can you do a split screen between the work plan and the Word document?
I think we're running past our technological abilities here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe then just for the public, I'll read what the work plan proposed outcome is, which is commissioners engaged and interacted with citizens while increasing their awareness of current trends in the public use of parks, beaches, trails, and recreational special events. Commissioners raised awareness of the Parks and Recreation Commission by participating and volunteering at events. Each commissioner was asked to participate in a minimum of 2 events. Any other comment?
The last sentence, I don't recall being asked to attend 2 events. I would think it's as many as we can possibly attend as opposed to just 2 events. The very last sentence.
I believe a prior year work plan had the 2,
Yeah,
but our current year work plan did not have the 2 requirement.
that's, okay, so that's fine if we could make that adjustment to each commissioner was asked to participate in as many events as possible. Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. So work plan item number 3 we'll look at, which was to identify guest speakers. And the proposed work plan outcome language is commissioners gained awareness and understanding of topics relevant to special project goals outlined in this commission work plan and other topics of interest. Guest speakers included BCK program staff and students presented about their sustainability programs at the March meeting. Coastal Zone Administration staff gave a presentation on the beach sand nourishment projects in August. The Nature Collective presented on their efforts in the San Alejo Lagoon in September. And the San Diego Botanic Garden presented on their efforts implementing the Habitat Stewardship Program in October. Okay. Okay, I think everyone seems to be happy with that outcome. Perhaps we could flip to the work plan item number 4, please. Great. Okay, this was an important one that we worked on this year and spent a lot of time in. Kudos to staff for being very diligent and thorough in all of their hard work on the reviewing of parks and recreation fees. One that sometimes people don't like to review, but certainly important. The proposed outcome is reviewed and edited the proposed parks and recreation fees with staff and made a recommendation to City Council at the May 2nd special meeting.
I would propose one minor edit to that, to say reviewed and recommended edits to the proposed Parks and Recreation fees, because technically staff edited the document.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments on work outcome number 4? Nope. Okay, so we'll keep the sprint going as now we look at number 5, which is review the field allocation policy, another extremely important policy that came from staff and the commission this year. And the work plan outcome is reviewed and proposed edits, perhaps, to the proposed field allocation policy with staff and made a recommendation to City Council. Does that work for staff?
Yep, same edit there.
Okay, same edit? Yep. Any comments from the commission or any commissioners? Nope. Okay. It's good to go back and review these because you sometimes forget all the work that went into the year, and it's so it's nice to do. And this was one that, although I wasn't personally involved with, I'm really pleased to see how well it came out. So work plan item number 6 was the volunteer recruitment and implementation. Really, fantastic work by staff and the ad hoc committee on this. So the proposed work plan outcome is commissioners attended volunteer events and served as ambassadors to welcome new volunteers. Over 150 volunteers have registered in the new Volgistics software. Ad hoc assisted in software testing and volunteer recruitment.
I'd like to add one more thing.
Okay, thank you.
We also spoke to every city that was using Volgistics, just every city in San Diego, which was pretty comprehensive, and I think adds a little beef to that item.
Okay. And was that part of your diligence on the software, or?
No, they'd already acquired the software. We were looking in the use of how the cities were using it.
Okay. So let's see if we can revise that slightly to include some of the language of the research that and Commissioner Hanson, was that done with staff as well, or was that just the ad hoc committee?
That was ad hoc only.
Okay.
We shared the results, obviously.
Yeah. So perhaps in the last sentence, we could modify that to ad hoc researched Volgistic software uses by regional municipalities and assisted in software testing and volunteer recruitment.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, one comment. The work plan that's up there says 109 volunteers, and this says 150.
Yes, I think we got more volunteers, but we should clarify that number.
We actually have more since that was originally set up. So we had 109, and now I think we're at 154. So for simplicity, we figured we'd just say over 150.
Yes. Yep. For anybody who had the over in their betting at the early parts of the year, they're the winner. I think that's, item number 7 is, I would say this work plan item is not complete, only because there's still some great work going on, including some information today. So perhaps before we go to the outcome, could we provide a quick update, perhaps, on this work plan item?
I'd be happy to do that, along with perhaps Manager Norgard. So we were kind of at the point where the consultants were working on coming up with a conceptual plan. We received the first conceptual plan with 2 different options for consideration for Orpheus Park, and we're just starting the review process of that. So excited to see that and look forward to working on that further. And then we're also waiting for a plan for Cardiff Glen Park. Manager Norgard, did you have anything else you might want to add to that?
Very well said. Essentially, from here, next steps would be take any feedback that we have for the consultants. If it's substantive, they may edit the drawings. If not, they can make some notes for what will be the next step, which would be public outreach for each of the parks. And so we anticipate holding a series of public outreach meetings to get input on what the community wants to see in each of these parks, using the plans that the consultants have created as kind of a beginning point for the local community to react to, tell us what they want to see. And then from there, the consultants would go back and make the big revisions that would get incorporated into the plans, and we could get plan specs and cost estimates for that.
Could you provide just a little bit more insight or background in terms of the public outreach? Would we be just inviting citizens here to speak, or would we be going out to the local neighborhoods? And could you also remind me, are those parks considered neighborhood parks, or are they more, I apologize if I misuse the term, a broader park for use not just from people from that part of Encinitas?
Sure, each of them are neighborhood parks, as are most of our parks in town. And for outreach, we'll likely have some workshops set up here at City Hall. The consultant has asked whether it would be worthwhile to do some in-field surveys, which we do from time to time. So we'll have someone go out from the consultant team at a busier time and ask folks, how are you liking this? What do you want to see? This is the project, and get them familiar with it. But generally, we'll have public outreach meetings here.
Great, thank you very much. So a proposed work plan outcome for number 7 is that the ad hoc participated in the project kickoff meeting with staff and the project design consultant. The ad hoc researched and recommended specific outdoor fitness equipment based on ad hoc's outdoor fitness instructor work experience, speaking with equipment vendors at the CPRS conference, and on-site inspections and testing of various outdoor fitness courts and equipment in Southern California, nationwide, and out of the country. We had the benefit that one of the ad commissioners in this instance was traveling quite a lot and working out quite a lot outside, so that was very beneficial to the city. Any proposed changes, or are you comfortable with it at this time? And we can, of course, revise it if there's any work that occurs during the interim period.
I would just break out the CPRS and put the whole name in there, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
You may want to include, if this happens, that the ad hoc has reviewed and provided input on the preliminary design for
So
the adult fitness equipment, if that happens before the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we should probably put that in as a placeholder, because I'd imagine that would happen, so I appreciate that comment. Okay, great. Number 8 was review and monitor tennis court and pickleball court use in city parks. Again, this is kind of an ongoing one, so perhaps before we go to our work plan outcome, is there an update that we could receive on this one, please?
Just that we received input and feedback from the ad hoc when we met, and since that time, we did have some guest speakers here to talk about proposed pickleball rules, and we're continuing to take in input from the community. I'm still receiving those, not quite daily, but several per week. So we're still looking at what's the right balance for open play versus group play. But certainly the ad hoc was very helpful in helping us move that forward. And so we're not implementing any changes at this time as we take in all of the feedback.
Had we implemented some changes, and then we're pulling those back, or are we kind of just in the process of still evaluating all the data?
No changes had been made so far. We have upgraded some of the equipment out there for nets and things like that, but we haven't created any signs or changed any of the rules out there for pickleball.
Great, thank you. Does anybody in the ad hoc have any other, which would be you, Commissioner Quinn, Commissioner Hanson as well, anything else to add to that?
I would just add committee after ad hoc.
Okay. Prior,
We've done it a couple times, so never mind.
okay, but prior to the outcome, anything you want to add to that work plan item at all, or?
I thought changing the rules was a done deal.
We got real close,
Yeah.
and then we got a lot of feedback from folks who are in favor of group play. And so we're evaluating a couple different options to make sure that all of our user groups are addressed.
Okay. So then moving to the potential work plan outcome would be that ad hoc met with staff and users to discuss court usage and sharing conflicts, considering feedback received. Staff implemented rule changes at each of the pickleball court locations. So perhaps we'll have to, would you become more comfortable saying staff is evaluating data for potential rule changes at the pickleball court locations?
Yeah, I think that's more appropriate. We likely won't have the rule changes by the end of the work plan.
Okay.
But I think there were also things that ad hoc had worked on earlier in the year where, based upon their involvement, then there were rule changes not related to group or open play, but just to court sharing. I think that perhaps is more of what that was referencing in particular. Was that this particular term?
I think that was a prior term.
I was going to say, I think that was the prior year.
Yeah, we've had the current court sharing rules in place for a little while now. And this effort was more focused on group play versus open play.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next work plan, item number 9, please. So Manager Norgard, if you could please, thank you. Number 9 was about the regarding pop-up parks at city events. I don't think there's anything new to report on that, so the potential work plan outcome would be commissioners set up and manned the Parks and Recreation Commission pop-up parks at Cyclovia, creating a temporary pickleball court on Highway 101, along with cornhole games. The Cyclovia pop-up park was very well received by the public. Ad hoc identified movie nights as a possible pop-up park opportunity, pending the permanent acquisition of 2 or 3 cornhole games sets. Any comments to that work plan outcome?
The only point that I would make with regards to the cornhole sets, we ended up having them for Cyclovia, but for some reason or another, we couldn't find them again for movie nights. And I don't think they necessarily were Parks and Rec cornhole game sets. They may have been through some other departments at the city. So that would be something that we might look into acquiring for next year, would be some cornhole games to support this effort.
Chair Winters, one clarification.
Yes, thanks.
Was the pop-up park at Cyclovia during this work plan year or the prior work plan year?
It would have been in January.
Of 23?
Yeah.
I think that's the prior work plan year, and I believe we used that in the outcomes last year.
Okay. And so there was no Cyclovia this year?
Manager Hamer, Cyclovia was moved from January to May since that is National Bike Month. So it's just delayed, and it does obviously impact the work plan, but was moved for the right reason.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so obviously this work plan item we're going to have to modify as well. Do we want to spend a few minutes to do that now? I think it could be well worth our time to try to do that while this ad hoc is here. So if you have anything you'd like to
I
add.
might suggest that we just strike the first 2 sentences and then just have it set up as ad hoc identified movie nights as a possible pop-up park opportunity pending the permanent acquisition of 2 or 3 cornhole sets.
Mr. Grindauer, do you have something to add to that?
That sounds good.
That sounds good. So just so I'm clear then, were we able to institute the pop-up parks throughout this work plan year?
I know that you attended the movie nights. I was out of town that particular event, but I don't think we actually set up any games at that particular time. You ended up volunteering in the Spook House.
Yeah, there were no cornhole sets found in time, so
Okay.
no pop-up parks.
This may be a work plan item we failed at then.
Well,
Okay.
we identified.
We've identified it. Okay,
Yes.
so we'll have to, could you please say your potential work plan outcome again then?
Based upon this document, I would strike the first two sentences, and then it would start with the last sentence that says, ad hoc identified movie nights as a possible pop-up park opportunity pending the permanent acquisition of 2 or 3 cornhole game sets.
Okay, would you be okay if we said as well that,
We could even mention that Cyclovia was
yeah, due
moved,
to
and
the
it was-
movement of Cyclovia event from January 2024 to May 2024, the pop-up park has not been incorporated yet into that event, if that's something like that? Okay, great.
Manager Hamer, I'm just going to also touch base to say that it is scheduled for Sunday, May 19th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thank you, Manager Hamer. Work plan item number 10 was the Parks Master Plan. Specific focus includes, but not limited to, item 1.2A, the Trails Master Plan. And the proposed, was there anything to report on that work plan item before we go to the work plan outcome?
One thing that I would mention too, I think the ad hoc had used slightly different language. So if they'd like to go to the original language for that, I know it was a similar idea, but I just want to respect the ad hoc if they wish to use their original language.
Yeah, we just added the fact that we met with the Encinitas Trails Coalition. That's not in,
It's on here.
yeah, it's here on the printed copy.
That's good. It's going to be added.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me read what the proposed work plan, if there's nothing to report on that item then at this time? Okay, so then we can jump to the work plan outcome, which the proposed work plan outcome is ad hoc walked trails and provided photos and text copy to staff to be updated in the Outer Spatial app. Ad hoc attended an Encinitas Trails Coalition meeting with staff, reported feedback from users, and promoted the use of the Outer Spatial app. Is everyone comfortable with that work plan outcome?
It doesn't mention the Trails Coalition meeting.
Yes, I've
Oh,
got
it
the
did,
second
okay.
sentence that says ad hoc attended an Encinitas Trails Coalition meeting with staff.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Okay. Great. And then work plan item number 11 was continue support of Friends of Encinitas Park as they continue support of Parks and Recreation. Is there anything new to report on this work plan item?
No.
Okay, nothing new to report on this work plan item. The proposed work plan outcome would be ad hoc work with staff to explore needs. As a result, Friends of Encinitas Parks secured a grant for $10,000 for a drinking fountain and bottle filler at Moonlight Beach. Ad hoc and staff met to develop a stronger working relationship to create a growth strategy that would best benefit the nonprofit's mission to support Encinitas Parks. Any comments or suggestions to that work plan outcome?
It's kind of cart before the horse, because we got the money and then found a way to spend it.
Okay, is the money limited, is the money limited to that?
There was no specific use in the grant, so we went to Parks and asked what they could do with the money.
Do you have any leftover for some cornhole games?
I might.
Okay. So you're suggesting that perhaps we rework the second sentence.
I would just remove as a result.
Well, or we could just say that rather than secured a grant, donated $10,000.
Yeah, good call, because Friends received the grant and raised the money for the grant.
Okay,
And
and
ad hoc worked with staff as
Yeah.
to what they needed. So something like, as a result, Friends of Encinitas Parks donated $10,000 for a drinking fountain bottle filler. And just to lead out, secured a grant for.
Yeah, that's fine.
do you want to say it one more time, Commissioner Ritter?
Certainly. So the first sentence stays the same. Ad hoc worked with staff to explore needs. The second sentence, there's a change. As a result, Friends of Encinitas Parks donated $10,000 for a drinking fountain bottle filler at Moonlight Beach. And then the last sentence stays the same. So we basically deleted secured a grant for and replaced it with the word donated.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you. So I think that made some good progress on these work plan outcomes today. Thank you, all of the ad hocs, for submitting your suggestions and information ahead of time. It was very helpful for staff and for the commission to review so that we can be as efficient as possible with everybody's time. So I appreciate that. I think unless staff has anything else to add to this item, we can move on to the next part of the agenda.
No, these edits were great. I will go back and revise the document that's on the screen to reflect everybody's edits, and we'll review those and potentially finalize them in the next meeting.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Mr. Commissioner, can I be picayune a little bit?
We're going to go back. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, sorry. On number 11, there's an S missing on Encinitas Parks.
So I noticed that as well, so we have to decide if we need a possessive apostrophe, right, after the Encinitas, whether it's Encinitas' Parks or just Encinitas Parks. So we'll have to check with,
Minor detail.
we'll check with our grammar folks on that, but thank you. Okay, next is the park operations report, please.
It's Manager Norgard. A couple items for tonight. As you may have heard, during the early morning of January 10th, 2024, the northern portion of an existing natural historic landslide at Beacons Beach reactivated and moved downslope to the west. The movement created numerous visible cracks in the existing slope, as well as damage to the existing access trail. The area has been active historically and is currently unstable and safe. From time to time, the city has repaired the access trail, and the beach access trail is temporarily closed, and the beach area around the trail should be avoided by all persons until further notice. The city discourages residents and visitors from breaching the current fence or entering this area. The parking lot will remain open at this time, but may be closed if the conditions worsen. And the city will continue to provide updates as information becomes available. There is a link to click at the city's homepage. There's a banner at the top with news that will take you to updates. We also have some signage out on the site, and we're deploying some additional signage at Moonlight Beach, Grandview, and Stone Steps to let folks know if they plan to hike down the beach so that they will not be able to get back up through Beacons. Additionally, working off of the work plan, I wanted to let the commission know that the bottle filler for Moonlight Beach was ordered and is actually in, so we have that now, and we're working with our as-needed contractor to give us finalized cost for installation and schedule that. Our as-needed contractor is a little busy right now, as you may imagine, with doing some beach access repairs at some of the other beach accesses based on what's going on with the king tides. But we'll get that in as soon as possible, and we'll work with Friends of Encinitas Parks to make sure that they're aware of the installation date and can collaborate with us. And just a final note, I wanted to say, echo Chair Winter's note of thanks to the commission for all of the hard work, particularly in drafting potential outcomes language. It was very helpful this year. It really streamlined the process. And while it abbreviates this meeting to somewhat, it actually makes the whole process move much smoother. And I think we'll be reflected in the final outcomes and the staff report that goes to council. The commission did a lot of work this year. A lot of it was front-end loaded. But as you mentioned earlier in the meeting, it's great to look back at the work that was done this year, and a lot has been accomplished. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you very much. Are there questions on the report?
One question.
Yeah, Commissioner Hanson.
Is there an update on the parking lot at Beacons?
I can't provide an update on that. I know that there is a tab on the city's website under engineering for all the CIP projects, and that should have the most up-to-date information. I just haven't checked it recently.
Manager Norgard, could you explain to us when bluff failures happen and they're a city beach, is that cost to only the city with regards to getting it repaired and back to a state that could be used? Or do we have state grants, or how does that cost work out?
With respect to Beacons Beach, the city manages that through a license agreement with the state, who owns the Leucadia State Beaches. And our license agreement requires us to make any improvements and fund those costs.
Those can be surprises when they happen.
Do you
Okay.
have- I'm sorry, do you have a follow-up?
And those costs, do they come out of the Parks and Rec budget, or do they come from another budget line out of the city?
It depends on the nature and the extent of the repairs. Similar to what we saw this year with the Lake Drive sinkhole and the Cardiff Sports Park backstops. If it's a big emergency, then it may come out of the general fund. If not, we may be able to cover it into the parks maintenance budgets.
And then I had one final question regarding, I'm happy to see that a lot of the benches were promptly returned to Swamis, as the city had indicated they would be. I did notice that the picnic tables have not yet returned. Do you have any update on whether those picnic tables will be coming back?
One picnic table was decommissioned, I believe, about a year ago. It was in pretty bad shape. The concrete was broken and some of the rebar was showing. And the picnic table that was at the westernmost end of Swami's was also not in great shape. And so we're working with our contractor to see if he can patch some of that or if it's beyond its life. And then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
When is the sand nourishment going to occur?
I saw recently that the barge and contractor for that is demobilizing from San Clemente and I believe going to Solana Beach today. So they'll do Solana Beach before they do Encinitas, and then they'll move up here, I believe, in March.
We got lucky with that one because the sand would all be gone right now. They'd done it last year.
I have one just follow-up going back to Beacons for a second. Could you help me understand a little bit about how do we ensure public compliance with not using those, that switchback trail? Is there anything we need to do with that staff may have done already other than posting tape, or kind of what are the steps, if you could tell me, to kind of ensure that we can keep it safe for people, even if maybe they don't agree with us?
Sure, we do our best. We have fencing out there right now that's chained to the guardrail to prevent folks from going over and down the trail. In addition to that, we have signage. We have patrols from sheriff, lifeguards, fire, park staff, just to keep an eye on things. When this happened a year plus ago, some of the folks in the community even made up some extra signs to put on the chain link fence to discourage other folks from going over the fence and alert them of the danger. So it was kind of a nice homegrown effort by the folks that live in the community.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions from commissioners on this report? No? Okay, great, thank you very much, I appreciate it. I think we have the Recreation Services report, please.
Manager Hamer here. Happy New Year. And looking forward to a new year, 2024, with new goals, projects, and wrapping up a work plan. The department is currently recruiting for arts and recreation instructors. Anyone interested in submitting an application to instruct can go to encinitasca.gov/instructor. We improved and updated that process so it would be more user-friendly. We also are recruiting for 2 recreation coordinator positions. They're part-time. It's a seaside day camp director and customer service. The jobs are posted on the city website, and they are great for somebody who's looking for something part-time, maybe somebody retired or who has other commitments. So please, if you know anybody, encourage them. We also wanted to share with you that with the winter guide, the department had enhanced some of the branding, the layout, and we also added more marketing outreach. So rather than just the mailing, we also had it distributed throughout the community. First day of winter registration increased 170% in enrollment and 87% in revenue. So we're really pleased with that boost and the community responding. We also have Music by the Sea on January 26th. That is at the library. Tickets are $20 in advance or $25 at the door. This is part of the monthly series in partnership with the San Diego Music Society. Another new program we're offering is Parents' Night Out. That will be hosted on Valentine's Day, Wednesday, August 14th, 6 to 8 p.m. And the city staff will be hosting kiddos to have some fun so their parents can get a time out and go do what they would like to do and enjoy. Also save the date, Art Night, Saturday, March 9th, 5:30 to 8:30. I'll be reaching out if you're interested in volunteering for that event, but everybody is looking forward to the new art installation and other highlights. And of course, hold the date for the spring egg hunt. That is Saturday, March 30th. You've always been instrumental in helping us to bring that together. And last but not least, I'd like you to save the date for our volunteer appreciation breakfast. That is currently scheduled for Tuesday, April 30th, approximately 8 a.m. We're still working on the final details for that, but that will be a first time since COVID that there'll be a volunteer appreciation event, and we'd like it to be very special, and we'd like you all to be there. So, thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that report. We have a question or two, I think.
I did just want perhaps Manager Hummer to also address the sculpture art survey. Are you involved in that aspect of it, or is it Manager Norgard?
You know, actually, that's our department. It's the arts division. So there is an online portal where you can vote for different sites and art. It's a link. You can go into the department page and select arts, and you'll find the survey in there.
And
Yes.
it has to do with artwork that has been, or sculptures in particular, that have been selected by the Art Commission, I assume, to be placed across Encinitas, and they're looking for input on specific artwork located at specific locations. So it's just a survey that you can participate in.
Thank you for adding that.
Thank you. Any other questions to Manager Hamer? No, wonderful. Thank you very much for that report. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't think we have any commissioner member initiated agenda items, correct? No. Okay. Any future agenda items added by commission members? Nope. Okay. So now we will go to the commission reports, the roundtable. Would you like to start, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for your updates and reports and all your support every month. So it's great. And thanks everyone for working on the outcomes. It's super good. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Quinn?
Just one question. I have the banner from the holiday parade, and I'm wondering what I should do with it.
You can drop it off at the Parks office. We'll take it.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Hanson used to display that, I think, all year round, but you.
In front of my house.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Commissioner Hanson, anything you'd like to report on today?
No, I don't. Thank you.
No? Okay. Vice Chair Ritter.
I just have a couple things that I wanted to mention. First, I've gone ahead and applied for a second term as a commissioner, so my term officially ends, first term in March, so based upon whether I get approved by City Council, I may see your faces the next 3 years as well. I also, in that vein, I would just kind of recommend to the commissioners, whether you are departing soon or staying on for another year or so, to take the opportunity to reach out to your community for anyone that might be interested in joining us on the commission next year, and have them go ahead, like Chair Winters mentioned before, to sign up. It's a relatively easy process online to fill out a short survey, and then it would be a short presentation, 2 or 3 minutes in front of the City Council, explaining why they would like to be a commissioner. So it would be great to build a large pool of people that might be interested, so that City Commission or City Council can select some great new members for us next year. I also just wanted to say during roundtable that I appreciate our guest speaker coming up and bringing to our attention the site L7 and how it relates to open space. I'm not familiar with L7 specifically, so I didn't really feel like there was an opportunity where we could actually address it and have an informed discussion among just the commissioners, but offline it would be something I'll look into.
Thank you very much. I too want to, first of all, thank my fellow commissioners for all their hard work this year. We really did accomplish quite a lot. I think it ebbed and flowed. It was front-loaded, but nonetheless, we were able to, I think, affect policy in a positive way, which is always a wonderful thing when we can do that. And I especially want to thank Manager Norgard and Manager Hamer, both for their hard work throughout the year. Not done, starting again, but at least for our commission year, we're kind of winding down. So I appreciate all the hard work that you did as well. To our speakers who come today and in previous meetings, it is important. We've heard on a variety of topics, some as meaningful and important as on land uses and how we use our physical space of the city, to others that are perhaps less of a lower magnitude, but just the lighting as it relates to how we're playing pickleball indoors. So, and they're all important to various citizens and constituents, and we appreciate people coming in and sharing that with us so that we can become more educated, because we don't necessarily know everything that's going on as it relates to our city, even though we're here every day and trying to do our best. With that in mind, I would like to kind of end with what I started with. To the public, if people are watching or listening, just to remind them that you can apply to be a commissioner. The deadline is Thursday, January 25th. It's a very easy application. It's available online on the city's website. And I think that if you get involved, you can have a great opportunity to try to do some good in the city that we all love. So I think with that, at 6:24, I will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.